We're hot. Here we are. I've got too much going, guys. I just have. It's too much. It's too much. But we're going to try to do a 372 head right now. Long day. Work all day. Bring you guys up here. Right here. Just want to bring you guys up for the comments so I can see what you guys are saying for those that have not joined before. It's much more fun to watch live than it is to watch this later. So, Dennis Jensen made it. Hey, Dennis. All right, I gotta obviously do some cleanup. Hey, William. We're gonna put this head on a chassis, hopefully. So this head just came back from Rattler, Mike, in I think North Carolina. And he trued the base up for me, made sure it was nice and true to the bore, so should be good to start putting the whole thing back together. This 394 chassis, I was having a conversation with a guy named Jim. So Jim, if you're watching this, yeah, we have a bit of ways to go here, but this chassis, as you can see, is back together. I put it back together with 1184 and a gasket here. So the crank is all cleaned up. Bearings are fresh and new. Seals are fresh and new. A little bit of cleanup to do, but we're going to get this to be a rock and saw. The next thing is I need a head for it, and I'm hoping my buddy Dustin is going to come through on that. I have quite a few of the other parts that we need to finish this, but what we'll do is we'll get a head first. Just looking here and seeing. May need to do a thread repair there, but doesn't matter. So this will be a pretty rock and saw when we're done. Anyway, we're going to put this aside for the moment. We'll do a little bit of cleanup, and then we're going to start fiddling with this 372. Now, because he messed with the base, I don't know where the squish is going to land, so we may need to alter that a little bit. But first things first, as everybody knows around here, we clean up, more or less. And what I think we're going to do is a little bit of a little unboxing, because I got goodies today. I gotta put all these tools away because we put a crankcase together. Funny thing is, I would actually put the 288 crankcase together tonight, but I think I'm out of bearings. So I just ordered some more the other day, and I was kind of hoping they'd be there tonight, but they're not. So whatever. This can go back too. Lots of cleaning up to do. Anybody got any questions, comments, want to talk about anything? 7 people watching and nobody's talking. It's at least a little bit weird. Got a box. Yeah, I order stuff from HL Supply and I usually forget what I ordered. As long as I don't forget why. Enjoying the birds, quiet down. Just gonna alert tonight. Okay, James, that's fine. Got another muffler for 288 stuff. That way I can modify that. Stuff. Buy stuff, spread it out a little. 288. What's this? Okay, gaskets. 288. This is 268, 272. The highway kits are nice because they're all here, you know. Got everything right in one kit. These silly little bushings are, yeah, might as well do one of those. Hey Larry, you made it. That crankcase, 288, goes there. These are 272, 268 gasket kits, which will, okay, 288 handlebar, and a 288 muffler bracket. Okay. I've got some stuff to work on the 288 when I get that silly thing together. Okay. Whew. Well, we're going to see if we can get this 372 to go together. Razor blade goes on these tabs that stick up. Always mention it. This is not an original idea. This is Brad Snelling's trick. Take those little tabs off. Okay, now we got to find the piston. Hey, Leonard. do have to be a little careful with these 372s. You can get a little too carried away and you can forget that this base funny thingy here goes down before you put the cylinder head down. So all I'm doing now is trying to get a squish number. Didn't really need the ring in here, but since it's here. The test fit seems to be good. No rock, that feels nice. And let's see if I can find some cylinder head bolts. This is a 372 crank I don't need for the moment. Yeah, this is the ported head that got trued up. The compression test on the Chinese 365 145 isn't too bad. It's not great, but that's not bad. That's runnable. You run into an issue where the bolt itself bottoms out before the head tightens up. Dave! You have 370 deck, port, and polish, huh? Yeah, this is an OEM head. Take this off for the moment because I cannot get a squish unless I can get these bolts down all the way. So let's see what bolts travel all the way down. That one doesn't. I think the easier thing to do is going to be shorten the head bolts. Let's do that first. Dave, if you want that kind of work done, send it to the guy that trued this head up. It's Mike Shetley, and he's down in North Carolina. Known as Rattler on the forums. He does pretty nice machine work, I'll tell you what. David, it might be more than that. Mike knows what he's doing. Hey, Bob, we're just trying to get a squish on this 372. Silly thing. Normally I don't check Squish with the ring in here, just because it's easier. Whatever. Okay. Now it's down. Okay. Yeah, but Scott, William, I mentioned that in the channel the other day. Tree Monkey is not having a good go of it, but supposedly he's got the breathing tube out. I saw that. What all got machined? The only thing that got machined was the base on this cylinder, because this is already ported and everything and ready to rock. But, yeah. So. So I just got two bolts in it now. It's not a head slapper, that's good. Let's see how much I gotta pull out of here, if it's alright. I'd rather run a gasket on these saws. But this head has enough cut off of it that I didn't want to cut any more off, so I could run a gasket. That's tight. That is tight. But too tight. 15 thousandths. Too tight. It'd run, but it'd be a little too tight. So what I actually need on this is an aluminum, I think an aluminum gasket will do. Or the other option is I can take and sandpaper off the dome, which might actually be the better option. So let's see if we can sandpaper the dome on this. It's a lot of work, but you know, nobody else here has anything better to do, right? Of course. Got sandpaper on the top of a piston. Why does this piston not fit? This might be for the big bore then. Great. Found the issue. It's all running like crap. What was it? It was too much compression, Larry. That's weird. There's one. That'll work. Nope. Nope. Where's my 50 grit? Nearly out of, but good old JB quick weld on this. How about now you guys are wondering, what the heck is he doing? Put this down on my 50 grit over here somewhere with something heavy on it. There we go. And while that's cooking over there, so yeah, what I'm doing is I'm going to take 4/1000ths out of the top of the chamber there. And I do it with sandpaper. My running issue I told you about, bad gas tank. The tank, they cut the vent tube in half and glued it in. What? $140 to replace it. Oh dear. We seem to have this thing queued up just for these purposes. So in case you don't think you can take some off with this method, you absolutely can. See? Ideally, take off about 5/1000ths, which shouldn't affect timing much. I mean, you're not going to change this out tons. Now this sandpaper is not going to last forever. I'll get a couple more out of it, and then that'll be that. We're definitely removing stuff. Now, the proper way to do this, of course, is to put it on the lathe, and with a boring bar and indicator and all that stuff. But this just does not need to be that accurate. Okay, see you in a bit, Mega. Yeah, Tree Monkey does it on a mandrel that he's got locked in his vise, but I mean, you can do this a bunch of ways. Last go with this paper. Hey, Eric. Yeah, it's going okay. Larry, that's definitely an interesting issue with your gas tank. No question about that. Let's see how much we took out. I don't have to do a shim or anything like that. We just do a regular old base gasket delete on this. I think we'll be in fine shape, you know? Can you say it a hi to my Macy, your girlfriend? Hi, Macy. Sure. If anybody's here and I didn't give a shout out to them, let me know. Did I forget anybody? Okay, so I just put 2 bolts down here. So we had 15 thousandths for Squish. Cut that little piece off. Yeah, I'm live from the basement. Visually, I can see we're a whole lot better. It's a whole lot closer to 20, actually. Let's go to the other side and make sure it's not thinner on the other side for some silly reason. That's about right. Leave it. We got it. That's where I keep arching. Say this is pretty good to go to have this put down, which is cool. Alright, so let's start here. This darn thing. That's intact, but this is missing. Doesn't matter, it's fine. It'll be fine. I just need to find the short bolts that go to that. Not there. One, two, three, four. Short bolts. Loctite. Oh, Squish and Arnold. Hang on a second. Hey, Ryan. Ryan Lewis is here. Arnold is here. I don't know what to think. Spinner and old piston. New fresh jug. It's not a new jug. Arnold is not a new fresh jug. Yes, it's ported, but it's definitely not fresh. Um, I I don't like porting new stuff. I really don't. And yes, you absolutely have a point. Um, you do want to be careful about marking up jugs, but a little sanding and a test fit. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, Arnold, you're not off base. Okay. In fact, the 288 that I put together recently, the one I spent like $1,200 on, the 288 has a brand new jug on it, and I didn't touch the internals in the jug, not because I couldn't, just because it kind of annoys me to port a brand new perfect jug. Ryan just got his 372 finished. Great. Anything special, Ryan? 15 Adirondacks. Very cool. So it only says 13 here, but that's fine. I'll take your word for it. So this base has to be down before you put the cylinder head down. Just pissing bad gas. Okay, yeah. Are you sure it was the gas? Because if you are not 100% sure, you can cook another piston and cylinder easy because it's some dumb other thing. Again, I'm not a big fan of base gasket deletes. I'm doing it here, but I'm just not a big fan of it in general, as a general rule. Can I tell us why? It's probably more superstition than anything, but it's a matter of the cylinder head potentially needing some cushion, if that makes any sense. And essentially, with a gasket delete, there's really not a whole lot of cushion. Okay. Let's get the head here. I want to hear from Arnold again because you're like, Well, Ryan, I wish you best of luck with the new head there. Yeah, Arnold, you are welcome to heckle and comment and whatever you like. Here. Let's see. How's that look, guys? Pretty good? Pretty smooth. So, this one is for me. This one's always been for me. It's for me, so I'm a bit shiny, yeah, effectively. I'm going to put some Loctite on here. In the bolt holes. So that's already in there. And we have circlips in. The ring is on. Gonna forget it. I'm gonna forget it. Let's not forget it. This. Got to put this on before you put this stupid finger porting. No. Thanks. It's good to know. Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for showing up. This is blue. This is the saw that I had built for me, yes. And I ended up tearing it apart because, well, yeah. So here's the one that was on there, and this is a 390 boot, which are highly valuable, by the way, but I don't need it on here. That. And what I like to do on intakes is actually use the Loctite 518. Oh, I got Kleenexes. Let me go fix that. Might as well get a drink too. Cutoff switch isn't working? Have I rebuilt a McCulloch Beaver? No. Not sure why I would want to. Some stuff I look at it and just say, there's no point. You know? You know what I mean? You gotta just say no. Not doing that. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Simple. Jim Comer. What modifications give the best performance? Sharpening a chain. In all seriousness, Jim, that is the truth. But if we're making the motor more powerful, the simple things to do are essentially the in and the out. Make sure your air filter's clean, always good. Open the exhaust a bit. Make sure it's tuned. Beyond that, start playing with the motor. Like for instance, on this one, you can see that the exhaust has been widened, modified, ported, polished, etc. The intake is polished. And all the ports have been leveled and whatnot and all that jazz. So there's lots of stuff that goes into that. Now, there. That's level. This silly band here goes actually underneath here, just like this. Don't put it in the other direction. Put it under, like this. I think most people, including myself, forget the chain all too often. But if we're talking about individual saws, I mean, porting and whatever on individual saws is a very, very variable thing. On the 288, one of the cheapest mods you can do is actually adjust the squish, is optimize squish at about 20 thousandths. Once you have that optimized, I mean, you get a bump in compression for free, effectively, and that gives you more power. Well, that was an old soda. Was wondering why that wasn't cold. Great. Well, anyway. Oh, I'm a dummy sometimes. Now I gotta find my special goop here. Where did that go? Before it ended up on the floor. Of course it did. Okay, so let's work on the gasket delete here. By the way, Jim C, are you the Jim C that I was talking to today? On Arborist site? Same guy? Jim has a couple of pretty saws that I could be persuaded to take off his hands, but it would probably involve me working over Got 394 for him. Jim Comer, yes. Okay, good. Don't go anywhere, Jim. In just a few seconds, I'm going to get that 394 chassis and we'll talk about it. Nice light layer all the way around. You don't need a lot. Effectively, you have to take the sheen off the metal. I mean, all this is pretty flat, so you really shouldn't even need much of anything to get a seal, you know what I mean? But whatever you use for gasket delete material needs to be fuel resistant. So far, I think this 1184 works pretty good. Let that tack for a minute. Just want to make sure nothing actually gets into the ports here. That should do. James. The meds, James. The meds. You wouldn't want to use red Loctite. Arnold, actually, the red Loctite works pretty good on these bolts, but I happen to be using blue. Most of the time I use red on these, and the other time I'll use red Loctite is actually on the exhaust bolts. And by the way, you can get them out without heat, mostly because this is all gets hot and cold and hot and cold and hot and cold. So the red Loctite helps, I think, but it's not an absolute on a chainsaw, at least in those locations. Let that tack for just a quick minute. So Jim, yeah, so Jim, what I don't know if you've seen some of my other videos and what I do, but on the 394 chassis, what I will probably end up doing is actually decking the case here to get the cylinder head to sit down a little bit better. You can deck the base also, but it depends on what you want to do. I like actually doing this on the Bridgeport. So what I'll do is I'll actually grind or cut the base here to get the cylinder head down to optimize the squish a little bit, and that gets you a significant bump in compression right there. 180, 190 pounds, which is plenty. And you can get these things to higher than that if you want, but I'm not, I don't port these in a wild way. I'm more of a mild to medium port job kind of a guy. I'm going to take this out of here. There's a stupid little black bushing that goes here. Oh, there goes $5. So when you're rebuilding these, there's a lot to consider. All these little parts and whatnot cost a lot of money. Jim, is there any questions you wanted to ask, or other than, what modifications get the best result? Out of the block and the cylinder. Good point. I personally prefer to take it off the crankcase. That way, the next time you put a cylinder head on it, there's already some more or less set to the crankcase so that it becomes a little easier for you to modify the next time. That's one reason. The other reason is I don't have a great setup. I don't have a boring bar for my lathe or for my folks' lathe. So it becomes easier for me. I could set up the lathe like that, but it becomes easier for me to clamp this in the Bridgeport, indicate it for flat, and then use a carbide end mill to cut it than the head. The other benefit to that is that the head doesn't get thinned out. On these 372s especially, you can thin the head out a little bit too much and crack an ear off. That's possible. Everybody's got a different way of doing it. That's the way that I do it. It's not necessarily right or wrong. It's just the way that I like to do it, Some things make sense to me and don't make sense to other people, whatever. Most of the professionals, yeah, most of the pro porters work on the head alone, not the crankcase. Most of the pro guys. I don't consider myself a pro porter. I'm a dentist by trade. I was drilling on teeth today, all day, not saws. So what I do mainly is bring trash saws back to life. That's what I do. And I do videos on it and have a lot of fun with it and hang out with you guys. That's what I do, Okay, so the piston more or less gets moved to bottom dead center. Yeah, if you screw up a deck, then there's no going back. You have to throw the whole case out. because now that's in the way. Okay, so the head's down. Yeah, Arnold, I'm always buying switches. Sometimes I have the old ones work fine, and sometimes not. What kind of junk saws? I mainly do Husky 350s, 372s, and 394s. That's for the most part what I do. I'm doing some of the 2 Series stuff as well, like the 268, 272s, 288s, that type of stuff. But I try not to do too much because I have so many parts and if I'm storing a saw, I feel inclined to store parts for it too. So, yeah. A little bit of blue Loctite here. You know what, I didn't, this is one area of fitment I did not check. Might actually fit. Why put this back? I need it. So this is actually an aftermarket set of crankcases. And for the 372, these crankcases are, in my opinion, right nice. I think they actually work pretty darn good. And Jim, the saws that you have, the 261 there and the 257, my dad's an original owner of both of those, so I figured it'd be nice to have more because he likes them. And the 394 I'm building, I don't necessarily need because I've got lots of 394s personally. I guess this is rubbing against there just a shade. I don't think that'll really matter too much. I know I can heat that up carefully. Ooh. Yeah. Just gonna need something to pull it back with. The gray stuff I put on is 1184. 3 bonds, 1184. Was red one time, didn't have any blue, broke one bolt. Yikes. Sorry, man. I guess everybody's experience is a little differently, but with the red, I'm able to get it out. If you're not, then I feel for you. That is almost. I'd love to put the rest of this together. I've had a long day. I can tell you tomorrow we'll have more time to hang out. I'm really happy with the progress here. I should be able to just slap the rest of this thing together and get it to pop tomorrow. What we do have going tomorrow is the 288. If the bearings show up tomorrow, I'll put the 288 crankcase together. At least get that moving. Just trying to think of. Move this there. Gap it. I know I should have found something to gap it with before. All right. How about 2 business cards? Maybe that'll work. Maybe I'll get a different one of those. I don't know. Just wants the twist. Okay. Stop it. I need to go chill out for the night. Been a long day. I don't see why this won't go together fully tomorrow and get a pop. Love to get a pop out of this. The plastic air jet here just is sitting funny against the flywheel, that's all. It won't matter. Even if it rubs a little bit, the flywheel, it's not going to care. So, night booger. Yes, go have an ice cream, James. Night, Adirondacks. Everybody, thanks so much for hanging out. Do appreciate it. Let's get a pop tomorrow on this. Let's plan on that. Get the gas tank and everything going and get all that on and ready to rock. So, yeah, let's plan on that. And I'll catch you guys later. Appreciate everybody being here and hanging out. Okay, be safe, everybody. Take care. Good night.